Move on now to the fourth Trump booking. This happening last night in primetime, by the way. Leave it to Donald Trump. He said, yeah, I'll go get booked in Fulton County, but I'm going to do it at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time in primetime so I can maximize my audience. Want to get more on the now what will be one of the most famous political pictures of all time, the Trump mugshot. Joining us now for more, former Trump attorney, executive director at the ACLJ, Jordan Sekulow, is with us. Rejoining us, Mark, Betsy, Chris, great to have you all here on a Friday. Jordan, just want to get your reaction to everything we saw play out last night.
It's embarrassing. I mean, I think the photo itself, the way it's laid out, of course, to put the former president of the United States through this process, it's embarrassing, not for Donald Trump, for America. And the world's watching. American leaders are watching. There's one thing, we can handle this legally as attorneys through the system. Donald Trump's a tough guy. Probably the only person I've ever dealt with that could have all these different indictments coming and still be focused on doing the best for America, doing what's best for the country, and running a campaign, running a business as well. Most people couldn't do that, but of course he's unique. But I think the effect it has on the entire legal system in America, which used to be the premier legal system in the world, notice I said used to be, and the way world leaders will look at this. I think it's a very embarrassing day for the rule of law and the idea that America is this premier country in the world, that we don't treat our political enemies as actual enemies.
Mark, to you.
Thank you, Rob. Paul Newman was Butch Cassidy.
No, we were going to do it at the end. 1969, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Paul Newman famously played Butch Cassidy. Now, Mark, your question
Mr.
for Jordan.
Sekulow, very curious what your current view is on what I think is the most important question, not from a legal point of view, but political one. Will there be a criminal trial before the Iowa caucuses?
I don't think so. I mean, there's obviously, you've got this push. You had one of the defendants in the case who isn't as well known push for a speedy trial. And then Fani Willis said, fine, we'll do it in October. Then you've got the idea that, of course, the initial idea was March. Again, I don't think you're going to see any kind of trial. You're going to see lots of motions filed, lots of, I think, again, different moves by different defendants. But this is a very intense amount of motions and, of course, a lot of procedure to go through. And
again, in the other case, in the D.C. case, Jack Smith is trying for an early January trial. Do you think that's possible at this point?
I don't think so. That is, again, when you look at all the cases, because that's the least evidence heavy, and when it says you're not going through classified documents, you're not going through RICO, and like in Georgia. But again, we have not really gotten to the motions phase of this yet. There could be appeals of these issues that go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, multiple appeals that go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. So that process, again, can be quick, but to say it's going to happen in a couple months, it's hard to imagine that could be the case.
Betsy, I know you have a question for Jordan. Go ahead.
I certainly do. Thanks so much for being here with us. On the issue of motions, and this gets to the heart of the question, do you think that Fani Willis's flim-flam indictment will ever go to trial? In other words, will the attorneys make a motion to dismiss? Will they make a motion to move it to federal court, since so many of the allegations involve events in other states? And will they sever this trial so that Donald Trump isn't going to trial with all of these co-defendants?
Yeah, so I do think, it's likely this ends up in federal court. And you've already seen some moves by defendants. I don't know about the severability yet. Maybe because you've already seen some with speedy trial, but I think with 19 defendants again, the unique position of the president. We did a case during the Trump presidency. It was a civil case. It was at the Supreme Court. It was about the documents that the Congress was seeking, the tax returns. And the Supreme Court was very clear. They said that a president of the United States has jurisdiction always in the federal courts. And so I think if President Trump makes the move to move it to federal court, it's basically automatic. And I say, the motions, do we ever actually get to the substance of this case?
Right.
It's a good question.
Right.
I'm not sold 100% that we ever do.
Yes.
Jordan, because this case is the Fulton County case is a state case, and the liberals have been telling us because if the president is convicted, he won't be able to pardon himself. But Mark Meadows is trying to get his case moved to federal court, and there's talk that the president will do the same. If they are successful in having their cases going to the federal court and the president is convicted, can a Republican president, or if he's reelected, will he be able to pardon himself?
So it's an interesting question because of the state charges. I think that would be a unique issue for the courts. Honestly, I think that the state, if it stays in state court, is very clear. If you go to the federal court, these are still state charges. I think you'd have to make an argument because this is unprecedented ground that we're getting into.
Yeah.
So we're kind of asking very similar to, I'd say, law school hypotheticals or bar exam hypotheticals, where you could write pages and pages and pages and make an argument for each side. Should we have ever been here? And I think the answer is no. We shouldn't even be at this moment. But we have to deal with it as we deal with it, and the legal team will. And I think you're going to see very serious moves taken. And what I do think is you see the media circus around this, but the legal team that's coming together for President Trump, I honestly believe you're not going to. They are not necessarily the media type. So they're going to do the work, the hard work that you got to do between now and the procedure.
My goodness, Jordan, everybody got a question in there. Just quickly, yes or no? You think this is a good mug shot? I know that's sort of an oxymoron. There's no such thing as a good mug shot. But we talked about it yesterday. Would Trump smile? How would he play it? And this is important. Is this a good picture, a good photograph for him for the campaign?
I think it is. It reminds me, when my son was born, I have a short note that's framed from President Trump, and I looked at his official photo, and it's very similar. So again, this is kind of his look, and I think he's taking it very serious, and you can't mock the photo, and that's what's important.
Right.
All right. Great point. Jordan Sekulow, we appreciate your time, expertise. Have a great weekend. Betsy McCoy, Christopher Arps, Bush Cassidy, thank you all for being with us. Have a great weekend.